Hi, this is Joe from PrepAgent. I'm here with my friend Natalia Gironza, who is a therapist. She works with people from around the world. She does it virtually via Skype, Zoom, different manners. So she gets a lot of experience talking to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. And I wanted to bring her on because we're best friends and there's a lot of people going through tough times. So she's doing me a favor. And I know a lot of people are stressed with anxiety of having their exam and having it postponed and starting a new career in the midst of a global pandemic. So, Natalia, give me some thoughts.
Hi, Joe, and everyone else. Today, we're going to talk about how this pandemic is affecting our career as real estate agents and any other career we're trying to pursue that requires classes or taking exams, which are now being postponed and changed, making us stay quarantined, many of us, to prevent propagating this terrible disease, which is undeniably scary. But we will work on some tools to manage the anxiety and not let everything fall apart, everything that we've planned, because for sure, as humans together, we will get over this. What we need to do is we need to focus on very specific targets we're going to set that will help us manage anxiety and plan our next steps properly.
Yeah. So for the first thing I know people are freaking out about, sorry to cut you off, is I know a lot of people see this as lost opportunity, lost income. What am I going to do? I have a family to feed. So obviously, and there's a lot to be anxious about. And as you know, that anxiety multiplies. You know, anxiety sometimes causes more anxiety. My dad often says 99% of what people worry about never actually happens.
Yes, what we're going to focus on is on more the what we can control. That's one of the things we want to work on when controlling anxiety. Everyone gets anxious. Everyone feels anxious. It's a natural mechanism that we have in order to survive. But for some of us, anxiety just peaks to levels that make it very difficult for us to focus, to think about other things, or to get on with our lives, or plan anything and actually execute it, because we are so terrified. Actually, because anxiety triggers a very strong biological response from our brain and our whole body that gives us that feeling of fight or flight. That's why we feel very like we need to move. We feel like we want to run, but we don't know where. We don't know if we should sit or walk or lay down. We can't stay in one position continuously. It's because our biology is telling us something's going on and we need to take action. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to flip it all the way around, since our mind is playing this trick on us and making us feel this strange excitement that we don't know how to manage. We're going to try work on our biology and things that we can control, in order to tell our minds and help our minds understand that perhaps this perceived danger can be a little bit lessened by steps we take into our daily life. We know, as we were saying, that there is a pandemic, but there's small little things we can control. And if we focus on what's out of our control, anxiety will be higher, right? So one of the things we need to focus on is, let's write again, pen and paper or your computer, your phone, however you like to keep your notes. What do we want to achieve in our career? What's our plan? And which steps are we taking in order to do this? We're going to make the steps as particular or specific as possible, because when we say, I want to take the test, it's very wide. Right? We want to narrow it down to, I want to get over chapter 1. I want to do a summary of chapter 2. I want to tackle this. I want to tackle that. When we break things down into specifics, they're easier to tackle. And this will reduce anxiety by making us feel that we are progressing. We're not completely stuck. We are getting some progress. It's just that we've got to really define what we're going to move on with and what we can't at the moment due to the circumstances.
So first off, you want to break things down to steps. Like I tell people to learn vocabulary all the time. So a good example of that would be take on 10 words of vocabulary or something of that. Just something small, just to feel like you're accomplishing something and you're moving forward. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. You want to focus on small steps so that you feel that progress is happening. It's not that you're stuck there. If you put your bars too high, it's going to be a bigger source of anxiety when it's more difficult or there's more obstacles to get what you want. Which is why I also want to talk about something that I believe a lot. It's about food, especially now that we're staying home and many of us are trying to limit our social interactions. No one's going to restaurants or any of this. We need to focus on how we fuel our body. Imagine if you eat hamburgers and donuts for a whole week, I assure you, you won't feel great on Friday or Saturday. It's what you put in your body, it does affect you, especially with glucose and caffeine. It can really bring some peaks that make your mood go up and then brings you crashing down. Now imagine that you put all this energy in your body that's not going to be like constantly worked, but it's going to be going up and down of us being very still at home.
Right.
And not using that energy.
Okay, so what kind of food should we be focusing on? I get it. This is a horrible time to feel blah after eating a huge pizza and downing some Starbucks. Like, it's not a great time to be
Exactly.
doing that. So what kind of foods do you think should be good so it kind of maintains a good energy level, a good disposition? So what do you think?
We need to stick to fruits, vegetables, meats. We need to stay away from sugar, caffeine, some of the carbs. All of these, we all have different diets, but sugars, caffeine, carbs, and other processed foods give us the peaks, the mood peaks we were talking about that we want to avoid because we're going to be home or we're going to be very still for these days. We want to keep our anxiety in level, so we're not going to use any of those foods. We're going to focus on eating healthy, and let's not like start a new difficult diet or something we've never tried before right now. That's okay. That's one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. Perhaps this is not the moment for us to start experimenting new things or getting into new things, but to sticking to our original plans and what we believe is getting our priorities straight in order not to input new, difficult, different things that are going to make us more anxious.
So basically, you want to maintain a healthy diet. It's interesting because we've heard about healthy diets for fitness, but now we're talking about in terms of psychology. I never really talk about a whole lot in psychology. Obviously, caffeine gets you all jacked up and ready to do stuff, but you're saying it goes a lot more beyond that. Can actually give you highs and lows of excitement and depression too.
Yes. And the moments that we link these foods to have a big influence in our lives too. For example, many people drink their coffee always at a certain place. They need their coffee always before they do a certain thing. And this link starts building up until it gets to a point where you need one thing to do the other. And when we're managing anxiety, we don't want those feelings of dependency. Those feelings of dependency deepen anxiety. We want to leave our coffee and our sugars and all our special foods unlinked and basically almost as prizes that we can have after a long time. Physical activity is very important. Listen, this is why I was saying like we want to tackle it the other way around. Our mind is saying danger, 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 anxiety. So what we want to do is we want to work on our body in order to be able to influence our mind to be a little bit more calm. We will be anxious. There is a reason, right? But we are going to manage that through our body too. If you are home quarantined and you have a proper diet, a healthy diet, and you are getting exercise, there's a wide variety of exercises we can find online, completely free, of fun, different things we can do, from breathing exercises to CrossFit and all this high intensity training that we can try. Why? Because our body, when we're anxious, our body is getting the fight or flight feeling, right? If we're just sitting there, our mind will overload with this feeling. If we like blow some steam off by doing some physical activity indoors, it will really, really help our minds to burn that off and focus on a different thing. We want to change the spotlight of what we're feeling into something else. And sometimes it's very hard because our mind's stuck in that. So we will use our body to help change that spotlight.
That's excellent advice. And just so everybody knows, this isn't something new she's told me. Natalia, you even told me before we got on this call, you said, Joe, did you drink Starbucks today? When was the last time you went to Starbucks? So just so everybody knows, Natalia's been trying to wean me off Starbucks for a while. She knows I go there and she obviously wants to help me. And as many of you watching know, I drink Starbucks sometimes before the webinars because it is kind of that routine for me that I kind of became dependent on. You saw me getting dependent on it and you were just like, this has got to stop. Like, Joe, I know you like the Starbucks, but you saw me creating a dependence on it. Like, as you said, I would only do something if I had that. If I didn't have that drink, I was not going to do the next thing, which was preparing for my webinar, doing a video, doing an interview, doing the things I do.
Yes, and the key is we don't want to um, ban the things we like, but we want to really evaluate what weight and how they relate to our day-to-day life and to our general plans. Because as I was saying, if we want to have a healthy life that balances our anxiety or perhaps depression or any other feeling we could have, we need to have that feeling of independence. And many times, routines or cycles, especially when they involve some foods or caffeine, or even some people, can get very vicious and give us those feelings of dependency, or that if I don't have it, I can't do it. And that's the feeling we want to try to avoid.
Okay, so we had a lot of information here. So I just want to review for a second. Everything we went over, and this has been great. And by the way, everybody, you can find Natalia's information in the notes below, and be sure to comment if you'd like me to do more of these. Because if you guys find this information interesting, I will try and get her to join me for more conversations to follow up with more ideas. So let's just summarize. First, you said the most important thing for people starting a business, trying to pass the exam, is accomplish little goals. Get those little feelings of accomplishment. Don't have big goals that are going to depress you, could be rather unobtainable in this situation. When there's a lot of anxiety and a lot going on, you need those little wins, right? And that could be in the form of memorizing 10 vocabulary words, or maybe setting up some social media posts to set up your business, or making some calls that you need to make, or setting up some documents, or whatever it is you need. Is that correct? That's number one for people who are professional and trying to get their business going during this time.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm thinking a lot of people have such anxiety about this. They're feeling helpless when they're trying to support their family, when they feel like their career's on the line. That could be very daunting. I mean, I get that. So these little kind of wins could help kind of realize, all right, I'm still taking care of my family. We're still okay. We're still on a good path. Is that the biggest one?
Yes, definitely. You cannot let this situation break down everything you've worked so hard for. You're still working for this. Things are not over. And what we need to do is exactly like Joe said, break it down in little steps that you are able to accomplish in these times. And don't let this affect all this work you've put into a dream that's definitely going to come true, because the world won't fall apart for sure. But if you let all the anxiety get the best of you, it could really stall your career.
Right. And the second thing was about food, is that eating the right things is not just how you look and physically feel, but it's also how you mentally feel. It has to do with your attitude, and how people underestimate the effects of how your food could affect your attitude, which is kind of a big deal when we're in quarantine, because we're a little more easily triggered right now. People could be a little more grumpy, a little more anxious. So we got to be that much more careful with our food to keep an even keel, and not have foods that could trigger us into big mood swings, bad or good, right? Is that the second thing you were talking about?
Yes, exactly.
And the third one was get some simple exercise. to have your body take control over the situation, over your mind, which, by the way, I kind of feel like that could relate to that first one of having little goals too, accomplishing little things.
Yes, for sure. Don't make it something like I'm going to have abs after this, but make it like I am going to learn 100% how to control my breath for 2 minutes. Make smaller levels that are accomplishable, and try different things. There are so many different things to do online. Even we were discussing with some colleagues, it's a good idea if you feel unmotivated, if you've never really done any exercise or breathing exercise of any kind, you could even tell some friends to try it to get together via video call or Skype. It could be even a fun, motivating thing to do. Like, we're all going to try this, and then we're going to get together to Skype, and we're going to discuss how we felt or how useful it really was, or who has any other advice. I mean, that's an interesting thing to do too. Don't stop being social. There's many other ways to be social through internet. It's a wonder right now. There's so many ways to connect to others and be able to talk to them, listen to them too, and share some ideas that have worked for you, which will help reduce anxiety.
Maybe that'll be our next topic, about interaction and how to monitor it and how to make it useful, but not let it be overwhelming and get away from your goals. So
Yeah.
that could be the next one. But for now, this was super good. Thank you so much. You're the best. And everybody look in the show notes to find information for her. And if you guys like this, we'll do a lot more. Thanks, Natalia.
Thanks to you, Joe.
Okay, bye.
Bye. See